All right, there's the test print. Well, as suspected, basically all of the pieces on this front row here are basically shot because on this first, well, like the last row, but in my orientation it's the first row. Basically it would curl here on the corner, and you can see that it looks like there's like powder spilled over that, but that's not actually the case. My laser doesn't reach that far because there's this little, like these little tabs that hold the glass in. That tab actually casts a shadow where the laser would actually like sinter. So it blocks that, and I need a way to sort of set that back so that way I can, get the full use of my bed. But I mean, overall, this is a good sign that, I'm able to sinter everything. This last one here is just because I aborted it right before the end. I didn't want to wipe another, I didn't want to wipe another layer of powder on there because it was going to catch one of these, like these last two here are so pulled up that it would just grab all those, and I was worried it was going to damage the other ones. So overall, this is like a good indication of like the extents of what my bed can handle. Over here, I got a little bit of over on the right, I got a little bit of adjustment there I got to do to get my sintering all the way over. And then the far end sintered great, which is kind of counterintuitive because the way that the infrared lights are set up, that, I would think actually the sintering would be worse here, but instead it's great. And then on the front here, this front row really doesn't sinter well at all. On the right side, it actually sintered great, except for where I have that shadow. So I might expand the limits of my bed. So like right now, this is 11 centimeters all the way across, but obviously this back end is much less because one square is 1 centimeter, and then it has like a 2.5 or 2 centimeter gap in between each of the squares. This on the left side here is a lot smaller. It's probably like 8 centimeter margin, and on the right side I got maybe a 1 centimeter margin. So I could probably go the like 13 centimeter, or I could go 11 centimeters plus a few millimeters on the left. Now you can kind of see that there's this weird like pooling on there, like layers. What happened is, as this first row would like excavate basically, because it would grab one of these curling elements in the corner here, and it would drag it all the way across. Well, that's that killed the whole row. Like these ones here actually sintered in the middle really nicely. It's just that every time the applicator fin would go across, it would just scrape them all into the bin. It's probably like, there they are. It would just scrape a few layers into the bin, and then it would curl the next layer, and then it would go all the way across. So when that happened, it would be like a plow, and it would plow out a whole channel of powder, and then as it would lay the next layer of powder, because it was dumping so much in that little channel, it didn't have enough to get to the end here. So these ones didn't get enough powder. So it's kind of crucial about having your applicator fin leveled and properly installed, because if it doesn't get to the end, then it doesn't, right here you're going to have improper sintering. But in the past, I did have some bad sintering on like these corner ones here, and then over here I had some bad sintering as well, which everything that I read said that would, the corners are not great for sintering in the first place, but like I didn't realize it was gonna be that bad in the far corners from the back of the thing. So yeah, this is like a good sign. Basically kind of shows me that I have good sintering everywhere in the bed except for on this corner here, and then on these two squares here. If I fix my shadow issue here, or wherever it's blocking my laser light, and I avoid like these two squares and this corner here, I should theoretically have a full range of sintering action for this thing. So I'm going to put this test model that I have, it's just an STEC file for Sintratec Central. I'm going to put that on my website as well, and you can find the link below for the download for the link or download for the test model. I really like this test model more than the Sintratec square. The Sintratec square is like just a tiny little portion in the middle here. It's 40 centimeters or 40 millimeters by 40 millimeters, but like that's smaller than this because there's a gap in between each of the squares. But that's like all you test with the calibration print. This print here is great because it's about the same thickness. It's only, I think, 4 millimeters thick, so you don't use a lot of your powder, and it gives you a great view of what's working in your bed. So now that you work in the future, you're not going to have a big mess of, like if you have curling in one spot and it catches, it's going to drag everything across. And if your models are interconnected in any way, it's not going to be nice and clean. Like this row here just sintered and then plowed off. If you got parts that are interconnected, if one of them grabs, your whole model's shot. So by doing this test, it gives you an idea on basically what what you can do with your bed. Now I could also reprint this again. I'm even contemplating printing it again, but raising the temperature maybe a half degree, in the hopes that the corners here would get a little bit more heat, and then maybe they won't curl as much. Or maybe I could bring the laser down, like the speed down a little bit. I think I might try the temperature and then print it again just to give it a shot. But I don't know. I mean, I could just keep printing the way it is. If you go too hot, you'll just make a big goo of hard plastic because all of your stuff in the center is just going to get too hot. And that's the crucial part, is you want the center to be good and not, like the corners are great, if you can pack in a little bit more stuff, but I don't know. I'm pretty pleased with this. And I'm going to pull some of these out. I wonder if I can just grab one right now. You can kind of see the, each of these is labeled. Let me get my, you can't really see it. You need to have a brush. I can do this all at once here. There we go. I just kind of touched it up. Now this one here is this is the inverse, because it actually so it's supposed to, on the bottom it like embosses it, and then the top it was supposed to be like a raised print, but I never got to the end. So my little square here this is number 6 if you think about it, if you're like looking through it from the other side. But yeah, this is number 6. All of them are numbered from 00 to 99. So you know exactly, like when you pull these out and you see that there's curling or there's some issue, you know exactly where your model is having issues. And this one here does have a slight curl on the end of it. You kind of see that little deflection there. So it's a good indicator. Of course, I didn't do a full cool down with this thing either, so it could have just curled up from the fact that I didn't do a cool down. But yeah, like this test model is great because now you can identify exactly where your problems are. Anyway, that's it for now. I'll post my stuff on the website, and I'll put a link below to the article on this particular thing. I'm gonna have a full article about all of the process of how I made these things. I also wrote a script to make these squares, and then I also made a custom utility in CATIA that does automated lettering, really lightweight, using KnowledgeWare. So that'll be on there. And in addition, I'll have that STEC file, so if anybody else wants to use this for calibration, they can just load that model right into their kit.